Well, hello once again, boys and girls. It is time for another edition of video games and Romeo and Juliet and me talking about them and all sorts of fun stuff. So, today we're going to play some Overwatch. Not because this has anything to do with Act 1, Scene 5 of Romeo and Juliet, but because this will give me some extended gameplay to be able to talk about Act 1, Scene 5 because it is a little bit longer of a scene. Now, I'm going to warn you up front. Please don't expect amazing gameplay out of this. It's been a hot minute since I actually played Overwatch. I actually played a decent amount when it came out, but then I kind of stopped for a little bit. But since we're all under quarantine, I've kind of gone back to it. So I'm going to be playing as Lucio. He's a fast guy and a healer. So let's try it. Anyway, Act 1, Scene 5. So as we left off, we know that there is a party being hosted by the Capulets. Scene starts out with Pita kind of telling the servants, a serving man, like, hey, let's make sure we got everything ready for the party. And there's nothing too significant behind that. They're just getting ready for the party. So then the actual scene kind of kicks off with Capulet himself, Lord Capulet, kind of going, all right, guys, well, welcome to my party. And I hope you all have a great time. And please enjoy yourself. And he really wants this party to go well. And you're going to see kind of in a moment what some of his motivations are. But as we talked about in the character analysis chart, he is a man who is concerned about status and symbol and others thinking highly of him. So he wants this party to go well. Now, what is of note is that this party is still same day, exact same day as the fight that we had in the morning. So we are still less than 24 hours into our play. So it kicks off and people are just kind of dancing around and they're just kind of doing their thing. And Romeo kind of has stumbled upon this party. And what is important once again to note is that Romeo and his boys are not at this party or not supposed to be at this party. Once again, they are Montagues and they are not supposed to be at the Capulet party. These are warring rival families who don't really get along. So he's kind of at this party and they're kind of just hanging out, doing their thing. And remember, Romeo's entire motivation for being at this party is he is there to see Rosaline. Oh, Rosaline. Yeah, Rosaline. Like, that's who he wants to meet at this party. Because when Pita was showing them the list, he kind of, as a critical moment here, revealed that Rosaline was going to be at this. So they're going to retake. Great work. So reveals that Rosaline was going to be at this. So this is Romeo's whole motivation for being there. What I find comical about this scene, time and time again, is that Romeo's at this party and he looks across the room and he sees some other girl who is not Rosaline. And he's like, oh, who is that girl? Girl, girl, yeah, girl, girl. And it's just like, oh, I gotta know who that is. Can you go tell me who that girl is? And it's comical because of he swore up and down like, oh, I love Rosaline. I really love Rosaline. And for him to, oh, come on, where's my backup? And so for him to just kind of go like, yeah, you know what? Forget Rosaline. I want to talk to this girl instead. It reveals the kind of uncommitting nature of Romeo, which is probably his biggest character flaw, is that he jumps into things way too quickly. And sure enough, the girl that he wants to find out who she is in fact Juliet. And we would know this if you were watching the play in real life, because we would know who Juliet is, and we would meet her earlier in Act 1, Scene 3. So he's like, go find out who she is. Go find out it's Juliet. And so as this is going on, he is giving this kind of speech to himself. He's like, oh, she's so beautiful. Oh, she's the greatest. And who overhears this but Tybalt. So Tybalt hears him talking, and it's like, hey, wait a second. I know that name. I know that guy. That's a Montague. That's Romeo. I'm going to go fight him. And he goes running up to Lord Capulet and is like, hey, wait a second. There's a Montague here. I want to fight him. Well, at this point in the party, Lord Capulet is, we'll just say, happy. Yeah, happy. He's been hitting a little bit of the bubbly, if you know what I mean. And so, again, Capulet's motivation is he just wants everyone to have a good time. So even though this, sworn enemy of the Montagues are here at this party uninvited, Montague tells Lord Capulet tells Tybalt, he's like, look, man, just you gotta let it go. Just, he's here. Is he causing a problem? No. Then let it go. And Tybalt's like, but, I'm gonna fight him. And Capulet's like, let it go. And this causes a lot of friction. And on his way out, Capulet swears that, or Tybalt swears, he's like, this is not the end of this, because it is not in Tybalt's nature to just let things go. That was great positioning. So once Tybalt kind of leaves, this is where we get our first actual interaction between Romeo and Juliet. And so Romeo, who again, he came into this party convinced of Rosaline. Oh, I love Rosaline. Takes one look at Juliet. He's like, no, you know what? I like you instead. And basically goes straight up to Juliet, takes her by the hand, and then they kind of have this extended kind of speech about kind of some metaphors with hands and what hands do. And eventually they kiss. Great work. Girl you just met, who, again, 13 years old, and they kiss. And they said, maybe 30 seconds of conversation before actually engaging in all of this greatest love story ever told. But he just knew. He just knew. Yeah, okay. I'm going to give you relationship advice. Don't do that. Don't just find a random girl at the party and within 30 seconds of meeting this girl start making out with her. Not maybe what you should be doing. So they kiss and they start talking about sin and purging sin from thy lips. And they go into this on multiple times because they know subconsciously that this isn't what they're supposed to be doing. Keep in mind, Juliet's at this party, and she is supposed to be falling in love with Paris, who we haven't actually seen at this party, even though he's the one that she's supposed to kind of get set up with. And so she kind of knows, like, I'm not really supposed to be doing this. I'm supposed to be falling in love with Paris. And it doesn't happen. She falls in love with this random guy, Romeo. And so they talk about purging sin, and then they kiss again, and then the party kind of comes to a close, and Capulet kind of gives a final speech wishing everyone well. So the part I find the most comical out of all this, mind you, there's a lot of things that I find comical as a result of not today. That I find comical out of all this is as they're leaving, Romeo then asks another person. He's talking to the nurse, and he goes, "So who is that?" And the nurse goes, "Well, that's Juliet, and she's a Capulet." And Romeo's reaction to this is extremely comical because he acts surprised that this girl he just made out with is a Capulet, which wouldn't be so comical if it wasn't for the fact that he's at a Capulet party. Like, who did you think this was? If you were at a Montague party and a Capulet showed up, then all right, fine, whatever. I'll give you a pass on that. But the fact that you're at a Capulet party and that you're acting surprised that you just fell in love with a Capulet, like I don't know what to tell you, man. Like you get what you pay for. And it's part of the reason why Romeo is very frustrating to me in this play. He's just like, oh, it's a Capulet. How was I ever supposed to know? I don't know. Use common sense, man. Like that's all you had to do was use just an ounce of common sense, and you would have been spared everything. You wouldn't fall in love with this girl that you're not supposed to fall in love at, whatever. And so the same thing happens to Juliet in the midst of all of this. Is she finds out that Romeo is a Montague, and the line that she has is, "Ah, oh, my only love sprung from my only hate." And it's like, you just met this guy, I don't know, we'll even give him a half hour. You met this guy a half hour ago, and you made out with him, you kissed him twice, and you've said, like, I'm gonna like myself. You know what? That's what I'm gonna do. Look at me. The most votes. I bet you do. So, well, okay, maybe not. So she goes, "Oh, my lonely love for my only hate." You just met this dude. Like, you just met him. Maybe a half hour ago. And you're like, oh. And I can understand from Juliet why you wouldn't expect to make out with a Montague at a Capulet party. But to be like, my only love. Like, come on. Really? Really, Juliet? Your only love? Keep in mind, this is what happens when you're 13 and you fall in love. So, this has been another edition of Romeo and Juliet Act 1, Scene 5. And if you would go on your Edsby page, there is a quiz on Socrative that is posted for you. Instructions of how to take the quiz are on your Edsby page. And I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you next time for Act 2.